Okay, so in this part of the topic, we're going to talk about some graphs that are not necessarily straight lines. They may be made of some straight segments, but in general, it's not just a linear equation anymore. But these are still going to be functions. Okay, each x has one y value. If we were looking at the vertical line test and drawing those vertical lines to see what's happening, it would only hit our graph once. So we're still dealing with functions, just not linear equations in this case. So the first thing I will say is definitely look at your axes. Make sure you're looking at what the x-axis represents, what the y-axis represents. It's good to get a good grasp of what's going on in our equation. But from there, we're going to look at what are called intervals of the graph. So in our first graph over here, we have three intervals. We have a piece right here, but then it kind of plateaus and it's flat, and we have a piece right here. And then the last one, it starts going down, and we have a piece right there. So we have three intervals in this graph, okay? And we're going to talk about what's happening. Now, when we describe intervals and what's going on in a function, we always talk about what's happening as the x is increasing, meaning as you move to the right across the graph, what is going on with those y values? So in our first piece, which I highlighted in yellow, as we move along the graph, it is going up, okay? So we have our time in hours, our temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So at the time, it's increasing. In our yellow piece, it's going up. So this would be a piece where we say our function is increasing, okay? If we're talking about its slope, even though there's no numbers on our graph, okay, based on what slope dude would say, we would know that this is a positive slope. Okay, now this is going to apply to curves as well. So it's not necessarily always just going to be slope, but in a linear chunk, okay, that would be a positive slope. So increasing, as our x is increasing, our y is also increasing. Our y is going up. Then we reach that flat part at the top, okay, where if we're talking about slope, the slope would be 0, okay? But in terms of our interval, okay, that part of the function, we're going to say that that is constant, okay? Our time is going on in hours, okay, but our temperature at this point in the graph isn't doing anything. It's not going up, it's not going down, it's constant, staying where it is. And then we get to the green part, okay, where our time is still going on in hours, and then the green part starts going down, okay? So that would be decreasing. Okay, and that would be, looks like a 1. That would be like a negative slope. Okay, but that part is decreasing. So in this graph, once again, increasing, it's going up. It stays at a certain temperature for a while. It's constant. And then it starts dropping down again. It is decreasing. Okay, sometimes we may have graphs where we just have one section. Okay, something like this, I'm going to make it a curve. Okay, that would be an increasing graph. Okay, it's a curve, but it's going up as the x increases. Okay, we may have something like this where going like that. As our x increases, our y goes down. This would be a decreasing function. So if there's only kind of one interval going on, you could just describe the function as either increasing or decreasing. If there's multiple intervals, then we're going to have to look at each individual piece as we do that. Okay, so we can't just say this is an increasing function over here, okay, because there's a bunch of different things going on over there. It starts increasing, but then does other stuff. So we wouldn't say this is an increasing function. Okay, we would just describe each of the intervals separately. Whereas something like this, if there's only one thing going on, okay, you can describe the whole function as either increasing, decreasing, or constant. Okay. Next one, we're going to look at this part of the graph. Sorry, look at this graph. We have time in hours and distance in miles. And it just wants to know what are the intervals where the function is increasing, where it is constant, and where it is decreasing. So our increasing ones, remember, as our x increases, as we move to the right along our graph, we should be going up. So that would be right here and right here. So it looks like that is intervals 1 and 3. For our constant, that's the flat ones. That would be here and here. So that's talking about intervals 2 and 4. And then for our last one, decreasing is going down. So that would just be interval 5. It's not so bad, pretty easy. Okay. Here we're going to do the same thing, except there is a slight curve here, but same idea. Okay. So we really wouldn't talk about slope here anymore because that's not a constant rate of change, but it's still, you know, kind of doing the same thing. Is it going up? Is it going down? So our increasing, okay, I'm going to start with my yellows, my increasing that I've been using, would be this kind of chunk right there. Now I don't exactly know where to stop it, but it's about there. Okay. I'm a little unsure of where it is. What's it trying to do in number 4 here? But 2 for our constant, I would say it's just this little tiny section right here. Okay. And I guess maybe even up here where it kind of flat when it turns from increasing to decreasing, it kind of flattens out. Actually, I'm going to take away that one. That one kind of just does an immediate turnaround. But I'd say over here, there's a little bit of time where it kind of stays consistent before it starts going up again. So I would say that would be our kind of constant area. And then our decreasing, okay, definitely starts off decreasing. Okay, it is constant, starts increasing, and then I would say this section over here also is decreasing. Like I said, that actual 4, I don't really know if we would say it's constant. I feel like the 4 is kind of more pointing to this section here. So that's what I'm going with. So increasing, sorry, was 3. Didn't write down my numbers. So increasing is 3. Constant, we said, would be 2. Okay, that's like that little flat section of the curve. And then decreasing would be 1 and 4. Okay. Last little bit, we have the graph shows the speed of the car over time. What might the constant intervals in the function represent? Okay. So this is where you might have to be a little creative and kind of come up with a story here. So we have time going on, and this is the speed of the car. So, okay, time starts, okay, the car starts, it increases, the speed increases, gets to that flat area. Okay, so there's a constant right here, and then it drops, and there's a constant here. The car speed increases again. We got another constant, another constant. So I would say the one that is easiest to decide kind of what's going on would be this one down here, because it's definitely a constant rate. Okay, it's not doing anything right there. It's not increasing, it's not decreasing. And okay, it also happens to be where the speed is 0. Okay, so if you're not if your speed is 0, to me, that probably means like you're sitting at a red light or something. Okay, so I'm going to say stopped at a traffic light. Okay, it's not the only thing that could happen. You could just be sitting in traffic, not moving. Okay, you could be at a stop sign and not moving. Okay, there's other things that go, but one thing that is legitimately possible is that you're stopped at a traffic light. Okay, you're not moving anywhere. Your speed is at 0. Okay, for the other ones, okay, it's a little harder to say, like, are you doing the speed limit? Maybe that's what those top ones are doing, and you're like, I don't want to go above the speed limit. But I'm just going to say for those, that just means that your speed is constant. I'm going to say speed isn't changing. Okay. Maybe you put on cruise control. Cruise control, like you set your car at like 65, and I'll kind of just keep going at 65 if you want. But really the speed isn't changing there. It's a little harder to say what's happening because we don't know exactly what's going on there. But definitely the bottom one, you're stopped. Okay, and those other ones, you're just going at a constant speed. Okay, so this section is going to be more so about the intervals when you're doing the practice and doing the increasing, decreasing, constant. The next section that we do, we're going to do a little bit more of this interpreting, but if you're still a little iffy on this last one, I'd say don't worry right now. We'll do a little bit more practice with this as well.